civility, that we respect the opinions, welcome the opinions of everyone. We do not interrupt. We address the chair, who is Talar Devarian, in place of Diane Rosen, who is not with us this evening. And we hope that we have a very successful meeting.
Thank you, Marie. Our next agenda item are the meeting approval for May 2nd, the minute approval. We're going to defer that to the next, for the August meeting. And also, our next meeting, just to notify everybody, will be on August 1st, 7 o'clock, most likely in the other building, not this building. And also, is Sean?
Well, thank you and good evening. My name is Paul Kruger. I'm actually with the applicant company, M.DAVIDPAUL Associates. We're both the owner and the applicant of the project. Tonight we have a relatively short presentation. I wanted to bring you up to speed on the project and describe some of the history that we have, not only with your committee, but also with the project and then the processing that we have before you. So tonight, I just want to walk you through just a brief project overview, the evolution of the project, and the changes that have been made, how we're addressing traffic, the community and economic benefits of the project, as well as our community dialogue, what we had with the neighborhood itself. The project site is located to the west of the 405 freeway, just outside the boundaries of ENCINO neighborhood council area. However, we understand the ENCINO community will share the benefits from this development. We presented to the neighborhood council before you and are happy to be back to share with you our refined vision for the site. Specifically, the site is redeveloping the 5 acres of vacant land located to the southwest of the 405-101 interchange, sharing street frontage with Sepulveda Boulevard and Camarillo Street. The site is really unique and truly stands apart from any other sites in the specific plan area. Based on the site's unique location, city planning policies, and market demand, we developed a set of goals and objectives for the project that are very consistent with the current smart growth principles. In particular, we considered the infill housing opportunities because they generate far less trips than most intensive commercial options and allows commuters living in far-off subdivisions to live closer to their employment. With the expected increases in population and demand for housing, our local agencies are pushing for new housing and community-serving uses to be oriented near transit in order to provide transportation alternatives for future residents with the goal of lessening traffic impacts in our communities. This project is considered to be a transit-oriented development, as it will provide mixes of uses near employment, such as the 6.5 million square feet of office space that's within walking distance, the mass transit, for which there are 7 bike lines within walking distance of the site, and the various shops, restaurants, and entertainment destinations. As a result, this project will stimulate the local economy, generating an increase in residents and employees to patronize ENCINO small businesses and generating fees and taxes. This site has presented a series of challenges, though, to us and to the city for several years. As you can tell, the outdated and inconsistent zoning presents on the unique site. It's been underutilized as a property since 1994. The workforce is in need of high-quality housing. The old solutions are unable to solve today's traffic problems and stagnant economy. All these challenges have been considered, and we believe the site before you tonight works to resolve many of those issues. First and foremost, the inconsistent zoning and its uniqueness. As I mentioned, the site's between the 101-405 interchange, the parking structure to the south, and the Sepulveda Boulevard. It's surrounded by a 26-foot high sound and retaining wall, and uniqueness is it's not adjacent to any single-family residential zone. The nearest multifamily residential is more than 100 feet across Sepulveda Boulevard. When we consider the Ventura specific plan, this property sits 1,330 feet away from the boulevard, where most properties in the plan are about 350 feet away. The outdated zoning is inconsistent with the community plan, and it's adjacent to the transit and employment centers, which I mentioned earlier. Also, the size of the site adds to its unique characteristic. Majority of the sites, as you know, within the specific plan amount to more mom-and-pop type scale, establishments which front on Ventura Boulevard. In light of these unique characteristics, we believe the proposed project is most appropriate and with the best use. This slide identifies the location of the project in relationship to the surrounding uses. As you can see, the majority of the project site abuts the 405 freeway. To the north is a Galleria and a 6-story parking structure, along with a 16-story Co-America Tower. The site is designated regional commercial under the city's general plan, the same that is for the Sherman Oaks Galleria, but the zoning is inconsistent with that designation. As you may be already aware, California law requires the property zoning be consistent with the general plan designation. Really, this is a site that planning years ago should have rezoned to be consistent with the regional commercial designation. So we believe that the proposed rezoning that is consistent with the regional commercial designation and neighboring properties makes sense. The transit-oriented nature of the project. This site is also very well positioned to take advantage of numerous convenient mass transit opportunities within walking distance and biking distance of the project. 3 rapid bus lines, one of the most successful transit options in the city within walking distance of the site. One of these provides easy access to the highly successful Orange Line. In fact, Metro is now studying the Sepulveda alignment for its East San Fernando Valley Transit Corridor project, which proposes the uses of bus, rail, or streetcar to create connections to the Orange Line. The aerial here shows the 6.5 million square feet of commercial office space within walking distance of the project site. Another tremendous opportunity for residents to live. So close, where they work to promote walking, bicycling, transit, and reduce vehicle miles traveled. In our 8 or so years of working with the community and the city agencies on this site, the project has evolved quite a bit. We are really proud of the evolution and how the community has shaped our vision for the site. The original project as proposed was 500 units of multifamily apartments on top of ground level retail for 10,000 square feet of inline retail and neighborhood serving, along with 45,000 square feet for a specialty grocery store, all of which would be comprised in an 8-story building, and again, to be LEED certified as a silver designation. The evolution of the project has changed quite dramatically, and now the project proposes a mix of uses including 399 units, about 52,000 square feet of ground floor retail. We are looking to fill the 45,000 square feet with a specialty grocer, with the remaining portion for inline retail. There will also be a mix of housing types, including 22-level units. The project has been reduced substantially since it was first proposed, including the removal of over 100 units. With that unit reduction, we were also able to reduce the height over much of the project site and have stepped back the height so that it gradually increases from Sepulveda as you approach the back of the site. The highest points of the project are located 125 feet from Sepulveda Boulevard. Now about 2/3 of the site will be within the specific plan height limits. Apologize for shuffling papers here. As you can see in the rendering, the massing of the original project was located towards Sepulveda Boulevard. This view is of the corner at Sepulveda and Camarillo. The significant unit reduction has provided the opportunity to provide more articulation, create more open space available to both residents and the community. To become the reduced project. We have also worked hard to add more facade treatments and more landscaping visible from Sepulveda. As with all of our projects, our other mixed-use project actually here in ENCINO, this project will be designated to achieve a LEED Silver certification. So we are proud of the project's evolution and again thank the community and the neighborhood council process for these positive project changes. This simulation demonstrates the height of the buildings on our site, starting with Ventura Boulevard, around the corner to the Galleria, to the Co-America Tower building, and to the Grand Apartments. As you can see, our building, at its tallest in scale, is actually in scale with the surrounding neighborhood. A key component of our revised design, based on the community's challenge, is a 13,000 square foot public plaza along Sepulveda Boulevard. It's almost 1.5 times bigger than the plaza at the Galleria. This slide provides an aerial view of the plaza, how it's incorporated into the site. I'm going to show it to you here. With the extension here, we also show the proposed landscaping on the median along Sepulveda Boulevard, which we would install, if approved by the Department of Engineering, to maintain as our cost in perpetuity. We are also volunteering to propose a streetscape plan for the project to enhance the walkability along Sepulveda Boulevard, to enhance it as a gateway, thus we are trying to create. The public plaza, we are only at the conceptual planning stage of the plaza, and we look forward to working with the neighborhood council and the community on it as we continue to refine the plans. As you can tell, that it's approximately 13,000 square feet. We believe that there's nothing else like this. We have plenty of seating, chairs, benches, worked into that with umbrellas, trees, grass, and other landscaping that's going to be conducive to the LEED certification process. And we really believe this would be a great public gathering point. We've heard from the community that they wanted to create the piazzas like the ones in Westwood and in Lorena in Sherman Oaks. Those are typically about 500 to about 1,500 square feet in size. What we're doing here is several times larger than that. The images here continue to show a little bit more of the depth and scale of what we're proposing. It does have an increase in the depth and the openness field for what we're trying to accomplish here. This space in here, the trees would be consistent with that of the specific plan, such as well as the vegetation would be more conducive with the LEED certification to that, so it would be more drought tolerant. But what we're trying to evoke here is a place for public gathering, a place to have little quiet spaces, little nodes within the area, to have a place to meet your friends, gather for a bite to eat, maybe from the grocery store to bring it on out. Just a real community benefit here that we're very proud of at the inclusion of the process that we've been involved in. Access is a critical point here to demonstrate the locations. The site has multiple access points that are very accessible for the pedestrians. The vehicular access will be focused primarily on Camarillo. We have one entrance off of Sepulveda Boulevard here to the north. This is a right-in, right-out, which utilizes the service road that contours the perimeter of the site along the back side. It leads in the back. These large circles here represent different points of access to the project. Walking you through, there's an entrance point here for the commercial, for the retail, and a retail point on either side, leading out the service road. Over here is for the residential tenants, leading directly into a subterranean garage. And over here is for the residential guests, and an exit point here for folks coming from the service road. You can tell we're not including any other points of access along Sepulveda Boulevard, and it is a controlled intersection, a signalized intersection currently, and we'll be expanding that as part of our requirements to widen the street and provide better signalization of that intersection. Our entitlement request. This is something I want to make sure I cover. Three related questions if I can.
One question. Come on, now we have a PowerPoint equal 25 minutes. So do you want to take questions at the end of each of those, or?
I don't know if we're going to be able to get to the PowerPoint today.
Well, no, wait, hold on. That's an essential requirement. We will get to that. I'm prepared to go now, and then hold your questions till after. Okay?
If I can make a
Okay.
suggestion,
Yes.
my suggestion would be to have the questions for this presentation now, have the second presentation, and any questions after that presentation.
Very well.
Okay? So, I have three related questions. I mean, the question is really, if you were to, if you go back in the slide, you identified three specific, or one slide had all the variances that you requested from specific plans. And I think there's three that, in my opinion, are most relevant. One's floor area ratio. There was another related one, I don't know if you can go back to that. In other words, the height.
Yeah, we have height, we have
Floor
floor
area
area
ratio, coverage,
coverage,
height.
and lot coverage.
Yes.
And then we have the setback request of the neighborhood.
So if you were to, what would be the number of units that would be allowed if you adhered to each one of the existing specific plan standards today, starting first with the floor area ratio?
Well, obviously it would be less than what
I understand, but I'm trying to get to the specifics of how many units.
Sure, I don't have a specific number to tell you
Okay.
exactly because
Range.
as you know,
Estimate.
those numbers can vary greatly.
Approximately.
In terms of a physical count on numbers with the retail and everything that's involved here.
Just, I'm really most focused on the housing units.
So what if I strip away I don't want to, I'm trying to make sure I understand the question.
So
If I
if you-
strip away
if
the
you
retail
adhere-
and I just have residential, you want to know what the number would be?
No, if you were to adhere to the floor area, existing floor area ratio, the specific plan, how many housing units would there be at that point?
Can I take a quick stab at that? I don't think that the floor area is going to dictate the number of units. It dictates the size of the units. With the C2 zone change, we get up to about 492 units permitted by right. And there's actually an exception that allows that to go up to even more units, about 1,100 units. So the FAR just dictates the size of the units. So there still could be the 399 that we're proposing today or 492. It just matters the size of the units. And frankly, what we would argue is that this site is such a unique situation, located near transit and jobs, and the focus of the specific plan is to reduce trips, that we're better off providing housing much closer to the jobs and the transit. So we actually think that having more density on this site helps out the traffic situation in the area, and having less density.
So I'm not clear because
You're asking us an FAR issue related to density, but what I'm trying to tell you is that that only increases or dictates the size of the unit. We could end up having just as many units that are in smaller size units, 400, 500, 1,000 square foot units. We think that these are appropriately sized units at average between 850 to 11 to 1050.
So you're saying that adhering to the specific plan, FAR, does not necessarily result in a reduced number of units compared to what you're proposing?
That's correct.
Okay, so then, let me just ask the last question related to that. What does that do to the total number of residents that could be in there if you adhere to the FAR?
I think it's the same question you're trying to get at, which is the quantity of units.
Or the quantity of people? So if you're saying you have
You could have smaller units with 1 and 2 people in there, or larger units with 1, 2, maybe 3 people in there. So it's very difficult to answer that without having a definitive number of units. But again, you could have just as many units, if not more units, at a smaller size than we're proposing here today.
I have a couple of questions. How many one-bedrooms and how many two-bedroom apartments or three or whatever?
We've tried to divide the project of the 399 units such that I believe it's roughly, if memory serves me correctly, we're about 180 units split between the two, between 180 in that range, one bedrooms and two bedrooms. And then the rest is split between studios and two-level units.
So 180, 360, 399.
Right, so we have a smaller proportion. Actually, I take that back. The 180,
We have of studios and ones, we are proposing 200 units, and of the 2 bedrooms, we're at 177. And then there's 3-bedroom townhomes, which are about 20.
What kind of rents are you proposing?
it's all going to be market rents. I wish I could tell you. I've been working this project for almost a decade now. So it's been quite a range of numbers to use over that time period.
So you're not...
It would be whatever the market's willing to bear at the time that we're actually completed.
And as far as parking, what kind of parking ratios do you have?
As I mentioned earlier, because we're putting in the tentative track map to this project, which qualifies it for the condominium requirement, the parking ratio is 2 spaces per unit plus a half space of parking for the guests. So in this case, with 399, roughly, it's almost 800 units, 798 parking spaces for the residential tenants, and then we have 200 spaces for the guest parking. So roughly about 1,000 spaces.
And I think it's important too on that parking issue that you just talking about, your Serrano project, what you're actually seeing in terms of, because that was another project that was parked at the condo standard of 2.5.
Same situation when we came to you in 2005 and requested your approval. We put a map to it, primarily because of the financial obligations that were associated with the lending market. We like to see what is an exit strategy. Although we're long-term landlords, we get the same, cost of capital that everyone else does when they go to the market, and they all want to see what that plan is. So because of that process of having the map in there, we developed the site. The ENCINO project is 51 units. What we've noticed over the last few years of operation is on average, the folks that are in there right now are utilizing about 1.25 spaces per unit. And that's a split between, of the 51 units, I have 12 one-bedroom units, and I have 39 two-bedroom units. So obviously weighted more toward the two-bedroom, and I have less because people are actually, from what we've gathered, just informally with them, about 20% of the people are actually in more of a live-work situation where they are able to walk to work, or they work from home, or they, in essence, they cross the street or something. They're there for a reason. It's a new, I call it new urbanist model, but they're there because they want to be close for quality of life issues. They're not interested in driving all over everywhere just to get to work. They're interested in being there close to the scene, and they enjoy their weekends.
One more question. For the height, you used the word 2D, and I don't know what that means.
Well, let's explain what's going on. There's a height district designation that comes with the zoning. And in this situation, the property currently is what they call a one height district on our property. However, the portion that leads this whole area from the boulevard, from Ventura Boulevard, all the way north to through the Galleria. The Galleria, all that is zoned height district 2, including the small residential building.
They're all 3 and 4 tops.
What's that?
The height of those
The property,
is 3s and 4s.
well, the property,
2s, 3s, and 4s.
the property on our side of Sepulveda Boulevard, which is actually part of the Ventura specific plan, the property across the street is not. Those are 3 and 4 story units over there. On our side of the boulevard, of the Sepulveda Boulevard rather, is a mixture. And you have the two-story motel, you have the 4.5-story project called the Grand Apartments, and then obviously the Galleria there.
But you're proposing 6 and 8 as opposed to the 4s.
That's correct, but we're stair-stepping the project. At this point in time, what we've done is we designed the project so that we're at 4 stories on Sepulveda Boulevard. As you come into the project site, as we go in, then it will increase. So basically, we're able to use the higher portion of the site, which is against the curvature.
You made with valley traffic, with, because they will be covering that area, and with the DOT.
We've had extensive communication with DOT all the way through the process since 2003. And we've been working with them extensively with our analyses and with our proposed measures that we have involved in the project, and both in the valley and also in the downtown office to make sure we've had communication with Metro, with Caltrans. We've been reaching out to as many of the traffic agencies as we possibly can to make sure that we incorporate the types of measures that they're also looking for as well.
Considering what Metro is doing up to, whatever you want to call it at this time.
You're talking about the connector, the valley connector?
Yeah.